that is my fucking basketball team. All right, here we go. Man. Unreal toughness, grit, perseverance, all the words we've been using all season still apply tonight, but there's one word that I think applies above all else, and that's resilience. And it's resilience in every facet that a person can be resilient, that a team collectively made up of individuals that have come together and become something greater than the sum of their parts, because you do not take hit after hit after hit. And today was the hardest hit of them all with the news that they got. You don't take those hits and come out the other side unscathed unless you join together, unless you believe in each other, and unless you trust one another up and down the roster and throughout the organization. That doesn't happen without trust. And because they have that trust in each other, and because this is a team that I like, you could count the amount of times on one hand over the last 2 months since these guys have gone out that this team failed to at least attempt to make the correct basketball play, make the next pass, find the next open man. And that is because all they care about is winning. But you can care about winning, and then it gets to a certain point, and you've just taken too much for most normal mortal human beings to withstand. And you just kind of shrug your shoulders, and you're like, I mean, what else can befall us? And I think when we saw the Knicks come out today, and look, they didn't play badly, to be very clear. The Kings shot, I believe, 7 of 9 or 7 of 10. It was 7 of 10 from 3 in the first quarter, and New York was 1 of 6. That's why they were down 15 at the end of the first quarter, and then they ended up going by 21 after that, Sacramento, early in the second quarter. Like, but did the Knicks have maybe a little teensy bit of, like, not that extra something that they could bring sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Except unlike the San Antonio game, which we saw, and again, like, who could blame them with how they've taken these hits, hit after hit after hit? Who could blame them for being emotionally and mentally and physically 40 minutes night after night after night affected by all that has transpired and everything that has befallen them? And so they go down by 15 in the first quarter and 21 early in the second, having lost 3 straight games, and having received this news today that the guy who, and if there's one positive to come out of the news today over the last, what is it, about 12 hours now, it's, I think, the outpouring of love and support for Julius Randle and everything he means to this franchise, and how disappointed people are that he is gone for the season, rightly so. And we'll talk about that more as the night goes on. But so to deal with all that, and to be down by that many, and to not, if the fact that they didn't close up shop, I mean, but nobody watching this game, or nobody watching who has watched this team this year or last year, nobody expected them to run away with their tail between their legs and just say, you know what, not our night, not our year. That's not how this team operates. That would be enough, right? That's what they did against San Antonio. That's what they did against Oklahoma City. And that's what they did against Miami. And each time they fought back, close but no cigar, against the Spurs, Thunder, and Heat. Tonight, they somehow found within themselves the ability to dig even deeper than they have dug the last 3 games, and turn the tables on this Kings team to the point that the team that had the 21-point lead, by the time they got to about, I don't know, 7-8 minutes left in this game, threw their hands up and they were like, can you looking at Mike Brown, can you throw in the towel? Is there an extra like sweat towel on the bench somewhere that you could throw in? Maybe the refs will stop the game. That's how little the team that had by the way, a team that's might end up in the Western Conference playoffs. At the very least, they're going to end up in the play-in. That is a team that has 44 wins. That's a good basketball team, 44-31. And you saw how good of a basketball team they were, again, in the first quarter. And they are dangerous in transition. As Benji tweeted during the game, if you miss an offensive rebound or you fall down on offense or you get completely battered and the refs don't make a call, any of those things happen, the Kings are off to the races and they're probably going to score. So this is a tough basketball team to beat because they are relentless and they keep coming at you. They wanted none of it tonight. None of it. By the fourth quarter, when the Knicks just started to have their way. And they had their way on offense, but they broke the Kings' will on defense. And I feel like I've said this a lot over these last 2 months. And what a testament it is to this team that I keep saying this again and again and again. Without the guy that they traded for, who's the most versatile defender in basketball. You know, not to say nothing of with only one half of their two-headed center monster who now is finally back. But that's the character of the team. And like a guy, and I mean, by God, are we going to shed some praise tonight on some individual players? And I'm going to start maybe some place that I don't think many people would expect. You can't have a defense that does that to teams without everybody taking part. And one of those guys, and we talked about his defensive improvement earlier in the year, and then he had a little bit of a defensive backslide, unheralded amidst his MVP campaign. And it is an MVP campaign. He's not going to win it, but man, he is gunning for a spot, one of those 5 spots on the ballot, big time, is Jalen Brunson. And just battles. And if he's your worst defender and he's battling like that and he's fighting like that, that helps sets the tone. That helps set the tone for the rest of the defense and everything else you're doing. But of course, Jalen Brunson isn't out there for his defense, and this will go down as the Josh Hart game, as it should. I mean, I'll just go ahead and read the old stat line here. In 43 minutes, 31 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Those are Luka numbers, folks. Those are Luka numbers. And Josh Hart did it tonight all by his lonesome, and he did it with a sprained wrist. And I don't know, so I said it after the last game, and I'll say it again now for anybody who didn't hear me the first time. And I wish I could give credit to the person who pointed it out. But someone who was at the game in Miami said in the Knicks Film School Substack chat that he saw Josh Hart take 2 shots in warmups before the Heat game, and he was holding his wrist, and he immediately went to the sideline. And the fact that he proceeded to take 3 shots in the game. And we were hard on him afterwards because we didn't have the full story. Well, sure enough, he shows up today with a questionable designation, game time decision tag with what? A sprained wrist. For the guy to go out there and do what he did with that sprained wrist was unreal. And he deserves all the flowers he gets. I'm so happy he's going to get those flowers because he's been getting, little killed in some corners. You know who you are. Looking at you, Alex. Never going to let you live that down. Anyway, and it should be the Josh Hart game. But the reason that Josh Hart got to have the Josh Hart game is because the Kings were guarding Jalen Brunson like prime Stephen Curry. And they were doing it not because they wanted to, but because they had to. They had no choice. They didn't have any other way to stop the guy. That's what he does to teams. And this Kings team, I know they're not a great defensive team, but they have some capable individual defenders that they could throw at you. Davion Mitchell, the guy was drafted out of Baylor primarily because of his defense. That guy didn't have a fucking chance tonight. Keon Ellis, you feeling good about yourself, knocking down those first 3 threes? Come on up, see what you can do. Sorry. De'Aaron Fox didn't even give it a try. Talk about not wanting any part of it. He was feeling awfully good about himself when those threes were going down. Not so much as the game went on. And so they had no choice. But here, cross half court, here's two. And shout out to again Benji for he's been tweeting about it all season. Him and Fred talked about it on the latest episode of Cats and Shoot. I think Fred has an article coming out about it for The Athletic. I think tomorrow. Jalen Brunson's the one area of his game that he needed to improve coming into the season, perhaps even more than the three-point shooting. And the three-point shooting matters a lot, obviously, because the whole reason you have to guard him out there is because he has become such a threat from three. And my goodness, I know he didn't hit a lot of threes tonight. What did he hit? 2 or 3? 2 threes, both massive. The one to end the first half, I thought was gigantic to get that something mentally about getting that edge under 10 points to go into halftime. And then the absolutely massive one to push the lead to 10 points with the Knicks on a 13-0 run. It gave them a 13-0 run in the fourth quarter. That was, I thought, the kill shot. I know there was a lot of time left after that. I thought that was the kill shot. So anyway, yes, he improved that, but he needed to improve his passing because teams, when they threw size at him, when they threw doubles at him, threw length at him, they could fluster him. And not only did he get better at it going into the season, he's gotten better at it over the course of the season. And you saw that tonight because that's all they could do, and it just didn't work. Nothing worked. But the reason the Warriors I can't even talk, Jalen Brunson's so good. The reason the Warriors were as good as they were when Steph Curry was in his prime was because they had a couple other guys who were pretty good too. In Klay Thompson, of course, with Dante DiVincenzo, 5 more threes. My God, that Fournier record he's going to leave that Fournier record in the dust by the time the season's over. Again, he's and like Dante DiVincenzo, I don't even know if he's going to get one of my 3 stars of the game tonight because Isaiah Hartenstein, who we haven't even gotten to yet, he was so good. But you need a dead-eye shooter. DiVincenzo played that role. But most importantly, you need a Draymond Green. And what Josh Hart was doing out there tonight was playing the role of Draymond Green. And he was playing it as well as Draymond ever played it because it wasn't just that he was making shots. And yes, he made 14 of 19 shots, and that was obviously, that goes without saying, it was fantastic. But it's the combination of that, making the right decision, and making the right decision quickly, instantaneously. The way that you beat those traps is you cannot give the defense time to recover. Obviously, that's what I'm saying is obvious, because once you give them time to recover, then the trap has worked. Then it's no longer 4-on-3. Then it's back to 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. The fact that Josh Hart was making those decisions so quick, whether to shoot, whether to pass, and I don't know that he made a wrong decision tonight. The fact that he had the ball in his hands on the drive so much, he ended up with 4 turnovers. I got to tell you, only 4 turnovers with the amount of times he had to make those decisions. And again, that's like, what do we always say about the Warriors? They turn the ball over a ton. Because when you play that way, it leads to a lot of that stuff. The difference with tonight, I didn't think the Knicks were careless at all. Josh Hart had 4 turnovers. As a team, they had a total of 11, which really, when you're doing that much passing and when you generate 34 assists and you only have 11 turnovers, that's not good passing. That's not great passing. That's elite passing. That's elite connectivity. And that is purposeful and #meaningful movement with the ball, without the ball, everything. You have to do it all. And the Knicks have had to do it all, and the Knicks have had so much to overcome because they are down bodies. And this is the way they have to play to win games. But there's a reason that even with today's news, even with the uncertainty about OG Anunoby still going into what is effectively the last weekend, penultimate weekend of the season, there's a reason no one's going to count out this team. You know, there's a reason. I was on with Windhorse yesterday and Ian, and I'm like, man, I don't know if they don't get Anunoby back. I don't know if I could pick this team against anyone else in the East other than maybe the Magic and Brian showing me up. Is like, no, I think they can beat the Cavs, even with what they have now. And you know what? He's not wrong, because you know what this team has that the Cavs don't, and so many other teams in the league don't, including a lot of winning teams, is they have that extra something. They have that extra something that, whether you call it self-belief, use any of the buzzwords we've been using all season long, whatever it is that makes a team that opponents just, they don't want to play, because they know, like, you got, that's Mike Myers out there. You got to kill him and kill him again and kill him again and kill him again, and then burn the body and kill him again. Like, this team doesn't go away. This team doesn't give up. This team doesn't give in. This team, they don't know the meaning of what they're supposed to do. They don't care. They live by their own standards. And just what a performance. Couple other shout outs. I mentioned DiVincenzo before. How about a plus 27? Again, a plus 27 in a game that at one point they were down by 21, and DiVincenzo was in, by the way, for a lot of them losing that early lead. So it speaks to how impactful his shooting was. Obviously, Hart plus 22, Brunson plus 22. McBride only went 3 of 10 from deep, but we know how big those 3 threes were in the moment, because when he started getting rolling, that gave the Kings one less hiding place that they felt comfortable abandoning to go pay attention to the other guys that were on the court. So those threes, again, only 3 of 10, massive threes from McBride. And Bogdanović, I'll shout him out too. Only 12 minutes. He was a minus 13. I think that's a little unfair, because he went 5 of 7 from the field. You could tell he's starting to feel it. He had a couple buckets there in the fourth that I thought were really big. All they need is something. They just need something off the bench. He's starting to give them something. Something. Anything is better than what they've been getting. And then the last guy I'll say, I was just going to make an awful dad joke. I've had a hard-on with a T for this guy, really for the better part of a year, and that's Isaiah Hartenstein. And Isaiah Hartenstein, man, I'm glad he's starting to get some love. And you heard it from Stan Van Gundy tonight. And Stan, he's a bit of a caricature, but like, that dude knows ball. And I was like trying to do my final all defense teams today, and I'm looking at Hartenstein, and I'm like, man, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to try to sneak him onto one of my not that I have a vote, obviously. If I want to sneak him on to maybe the second team, man, the numbers are there. If you look at the advanced stats, any advanced stats you want to look at, the defensive metrics paint him as one of the 10 most impactful defenders in basketball. And I thought there was a massive drop-off, and this is no shade on Precious or Mitch. Again, I thought there was a drop-off. When he wasn't in there, I thought Sabonis more against Precious in the first half. I thought Mitch shored up his defense in the second half for sure. But Hartenstein's their best defender, and you feel it when he's not out there. And then when you throw in what he's able to do on the offensive end, I mean, the dude had 9 assists. Like, a dude with a usage rate that is still in the, I don't know what it is right now. I'm assuming it's somewhere in the mid-teens. Like, for that dude to generate 9 assists in the game, and again, it comes with how the Kings were guarding the Knicks, but it's a nice luxury to have in what is ostensibly still your backup center, although I know that the tables have turned here. Oh, man. What a win. What an absolute massive, massive, massive win. It felt, when, again, they were down by 21, and I was kind of looking at it like, man, okay, on to Chicago, and you just chalk this one up to emotional letdown, mental just didn't have it. To get a win like that, and once they started making that push, and once they got into single digits in the first half, I started to feel like, man, they got to get this now. They got to get this. And the Kings tried to have a little push back there in the third, and the Knicks just keep coming. That's all they do. They just keep coming. All right, let's get into the rest of the show. 2 very relevant segments. But no, first we got Andrew Claudio here. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, John. How are you? We haven't been on a live stream in a long time.
I should probably add up how many times I've been in front of a a computer screen over the last 2 days. It's been.
Would it be 4 or is this 5? You mean
Well,
like to do something live? You did the put back twice.
No,
You did...
we did put back yesterday, Cats Pod yesterday, Town Hall last night.
How could I forget the 3-hour Town Hall?
Town Hall last night. What did I do today?
You did
live
the
stream
put back,
today,
a live stream, and now
put back
this.
today. Oh, I was on Fox News too. I gotta send you the clip. Yeah, I was on the 5 o'clock fucking news.
So you mean like locally Fox 5? You mean?
Yeah, Fox 5 in New York.
Okay,
it was wild.
That's different than I was on Fox News, John.
What? Oh no, not
yeah. I was like,
no,
Fox. You want to
Fox
tell
5.
me?
Yeah, no. Jennifer Williams, a wonderful journalist for them, reached out, and I had already gone back to my. You're terrible.
You're amazing.
I had already gone back to the old day job, so I did it. I couldn't even do it from here. I had to do it from my co-teacher's desk. So and now this. So this is what 7 times in the last 36 hours. So there you go.
Something like that. Well, glad to have you here, John. And my computer is for some reason acting up. Yeah, I can't exit out of a screen. I can't click anything.
Oh, does that mean we? Oh, okay.
So we're gonna wait. Is what we're gonna do. So, John, how are you? That's all. I'm okay. No, went it back. We're back. Okay,
we're so back.
My camera's now off, as you can see. So here's what we're gonna do, folks. A lot of people. Let's see if it'll bring me back for a second. All right, it's still frozen. This is we're doing it live. John was on Fox News today, and I'm going full Bill O'Reilly. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm back. Knicks get a huge win. And earlier today, the tenor of us being live was very somber. It was a bit dejected, at least as far as I'm concerned. I know, John, you also felt very sad about Julius Randle. I know everybody wished him well. And we're now here to turn the vibes around. Because not only did the New York Knicks get a huge win against the Sacramento Kings to end their 3-game losing streak, not only did the Miami Heat lose in South Beach against the Philadelphia 76ers?
Oh, I know.
Furthering the Knicks.
I know where you're going with this.
But there's one other thing we have to be excited about, and it's that our partner in crime, Mr. Jeremy Cohen, it is his birthday today. And guess what we are doing? We are dancing on the post game, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday, Jeremy, at The Coincidence. Go at him on Twitter. Wherever you are right now, go at that man. Happy birthday, Jeremy. I'm glad the Knicks got a W for you on your birthday.
That's phenomenal. That was well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You pulled it off.
Thank you. I'm glad. Oh, it's still sounding. Okay.
I can listen to that music all the time. I love that song.
Unified Road to Recovery, Jonathan.
Yes. Unified Healing Road to Recovery. You know the deal by now. We're very, very proud to have Unified Healing as one of our sponsors here in the Knicks Film School post-game show. Go to unifiedhealing.com to learn more and find a center near you. That is UNIFYD healing.com. So the Unified Healing Road to Recovery report tonight. Yes, it is still somber. You know the news by now, but I'll go through it again. Julius Randle getting surgery on his right shoulder that he injured, or that Jaime Jaquez Jr., bastard that he is, injured back on January 27th. And that sucks. And we commiserated earlier today. I don't really want to commiserate anymore. I will just point out that he, which again, we'll take it with a grain of salt, but he is optimistic that he will be able to return for the start of the 2024-25 regular season. That was per Chris Haynes. The other little piece of news in terms of the road to recovery is that the road to recovery was had a couple more winding segments, speed bumps, if you will, over the last month and change, or 2 months and change, excuse me, because we also learned from Chris Haynes that Julius was, if you put the timeline together, about 5 weeks after the initial injury, and about 5 weeks ago from right now, he re-injured his shoulder when he was taking contact. So the initial report said reevaluation in 3 weeks. And so it seems like about a couple of weeks probably after he was reevaluated, if we believe Julius's timeline, he had already progressed to doing contact, which isn't surprising because like that's a dude you know he's raring to get back. And you just have to hope that all of the, the correct medical decisions were made in terms of when they felt comfortable letting him take contact again, and that they didn't try to rush it back. I have no reason to believe that they tried to rush it. Again, the initial timeline that we got made it seem like, okay, maybe this is something that will not be that much longer than a month. And if you, again, believe the timeline, he was taking contact 5 weeks after the initial injury. So I don't think that there's anything to be too suspicious about there. Obviously, the Knicks are bold-faced liars, and I look forward to watching the press conference tonight with Tom Thibodeau. But I mean, look, this is what teams do. They want to give you as little information as possible, and the Knicks are perhaps the most egregious violator of that. I'm not going to get bent out of shape out of that. If you want to, that's your prerogative. And on OG Anunoby, good news. Progressed to 5-on-5 with contact. And I think Chris Haynes also reported there that OG would like to get back, play a couple games, get a couple games under his belt, I think was the term he used before the end of the regular season. But that it is entirely possible we may not see him for the playoffs. But like at this point,
until the playoffs.
Until the playoffs. What did I say? What? Yeah.
For the playoffs. Right.
Yeah. No, until the playoffs. Look, maybe everybody is just lying / wildly optimistic beyond reason. At this point, whether he stays on the court or not is a different story. Whether he re-aggravates the injury, whether he needs to take time, once he comes back, that's all a different story. I think we're going to see OG Anunoby. So that's a look. We're looking for silver linings. That's a silver lining. And Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson both played tonight. They were game time decisions. Again, Josh Hart with a sprained wrist, and Mitch with the ankle that he seemed to re-injure the other day. That has been your Unified Healing Report, Road to Recovery. Go to unifiedhealing.com for more information. Out of Town Scores, presented by our very, very, very good friends at T Squared Social. I'm sure if you were watching the game tonight at T Squared Social, it was quite a scene.
Indeed.
As I'm sure it was at Madison Square Garden. Again,
I'm also going to just add real quick before John reads the disclaimer. Walkie, you know what? I'll read it because you can get a free draft beer when you tell them that KFS sent you and visit tsquaredsocial.com to learn more about what goes on there with memberships and whatnot. If you were there from like 4 o'clock on, you saw the New York Mets get no hit for 8 innings, but then pull out a W in the 9th. Winning is cool, especially when you wear blue and orange, and I root for you. So what's that like? I got to find out what it is tonight. Shout out to also JB, Jeffrey Bellone, will be a guest on Mets Therapy, which is dropping at midnight.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Something to look forward to. All right, Out of Town Sports.
All the Mets fans out there, tune into Andrew Claudio's podcast, Mets Therapy.
Yes.
It's a great listen. Okay. Out of Town Scores. I'm going to choose my words carefully. My mom, who is probably watching right now, texted me, and she's like, be careful what you say about Miami. There's a lot of people in Miami. You don't want to offend the wrong person. So I'm not going to say what I said the other night, which is fuck Miami. I'm merely going to say fuck the Miami Heat, the basketball team. And I will just kindly point out that their entire fan base is fraudulent and should sink into the ocean. Speaking of those, what?
My official statement on Jonathan Macri statement is cosign.
I hope that was okay, Mom. The relevant game here, 76ers beat the Heat. It was a wild game. Sixers, I believe, got out to a 17-2 lead at the start of this one. Couldn't close the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. The Heat were on a 17-0 run at one point, third going into the fourth, and then the Sixers pulled it out, which is good news for the Knicks. Why is it good news for the Knicks? Because especially with all of the injuries, in the news today, obviously, like it's about at the very least, staying out of the play-in. And the little brothers across the river in Brooklyn did us a nice solid last night, beating the Pacers. So now we have the Knicks with a 2.5 game. Well, first of all, I should say we're tied with Orlando, half a game back of Cleveland. Haven't lost sight of them yet. Cleveland also lost last night, pretty badly to the Suns. So yes, tied with Orlando, but Orlando owns the tiebreaker. Half game back Cleveland, but 2.5 games up on Indiana. Now, Indiana does have the tiebreaker, I will note, but they also have one fewer game left to go than the Knicks, so they don't have as much time to make up, or as many opportunities to make up ground. I should say. So 2.5 game lead on Indiana and a 3-game lead on Miami with the tiebreaker, and then a 3.5 game lead on Philly. And they have the tiebreaker on Philly as well. So what does that mean, practically speaking? The Knicks have 6 games left. 3 against Chicago, 1 against Brooklyn, 1 against a Celtics team that we don't know who they're going to play and who they're not going to play, and then 1 against the Bucks, who can't seem to get out of their own way right now. Let's just say, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to win 3 out of the next 6 games, but let's just say they win 3 out of the next 6 games. That puts them at 48 wins. The Heat, meanwhile, only have 6 games left to go. And they have 42. So if you're telling me the Knicks could get 3 more wins to finish with 48 wins, that means the Heat would need to win every single. That means the Heat could win. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. That means the Heat could win every single game left on their schedule, and they still would not pass the Knicks, because 6 more wins gets them to 48. 3 more wins for the Knicks gets them to 48, and it is New York's. So basically, the magic number for us to finish ahead of the Heat is 3, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 3.
Great. Fantastic. I got there. It took me a few minutes, but I got it. Like I said, it's been a long couple of days. But I got there. So that, I think, look, did the Knicks clinch a playoff spot tonight? I'm not going to go that far. I think the Knicks are going to be able to win 3 more games. And let's just say they don't. They win 2 more games. I don't think the Heat are going 6-0. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Can we have some fun before we go to the Super Chats about projecting how the rest of the East plays out?
Sure.
So
yeah.
1 through just Celtics obviously clinched 1. Celtics, by the way, have important games against teams that matter down the stretch, and especially us. They clinched everything yesterday with their 60th win.
60
So they may have just signed up for a subscription to LA Fitness, which might allow for the Knicks to take advantage of Peyton Pritchard and Doogie Howser and Luke Cornett next week.
You respect your opponent.
Respect the opponent, yes, but I respect them less when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis and Derek White and Drew Holiday aren't playing.
I also, I'll say this. I don't know. It's not a games played issue. And look, maybe voters have made up their minds already. I was filling out my All-NBA teams also today. Jaylen Brown's right there. And I don't think he's a lock. So I would not expect Jaylen Brown to be sitting a lot. Jason Tatum, like, the MVP conversation is over. That dude's still trying to make first-team All-NBA, competing with this madman here in New York who just refuses to die. So I don't know about those two. I know if I was a Celtics fan, I would want them to put Porzingis in bubble wrap. Like Drew Holiday, you want him to be fresh. Al Horford's not a spring chicken. You want him to be fresh. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Look, Boston's there in first. So now what are we projecting the rest of the...
In your opinion, we know what Miami's schedule is. You did a good newsletter on it last Friday. So go 2 through 8.
So Milwaukee has the tough part about projecting this. Milwaukee has Toronto next, and Toronto is tanking as hard as any team has tanked in recent memory. They're if the fucking Bucks lose that game.
Bucks who just lost to the Wizards.
I know, but the
Grizzlies
Wizards
in back-to-back games.
But in fairness, the Wizards are trying, and the Grizzlies are trying.
They're trying more than the Raptors, which is the lowest of bars to clear.
Possible bars, yes. Okay. Then they have the Knicks, which, who knows
They're trying.
What happens. Then they have the Celtics, which, like, again,
we just talked about it.
Who knows? And then, man, there's a Thunder game in OKC, which you would think Oklahoma City's going to have something on the line in that game, to say nothing of SGA making an MVP push. And that game is sandwiched by 2 games against the Magic. So I think the reason you wanted to do this little exercise, is because the Magic are 2 games back of the Bucks. So if you project that the Bucks are maybe going to lose another game, maybe to the Thunder or to the Knicks, even if they split against the Magic. Now, the Magic don't exactly have an easy schedule either. I'm not going to take too long with this. I, perhaps foolishly, still think the Bucks will finish in second.
So do I.
Hmm.
I'm kind of rooting for chaos, though. Like,
Chaos
I want a 7-team tiebreaker.
Chaos is always fun. You would think that I would know the freaking Cavs schedule by heart by now, but I'm pulling it up right now. The Cavs just have not looked good at all.
They haven't.
The
Cavs are about to go to the LA, right? They have the LA back-to-back
against the Lakers. Lakers are playing well. The Clippers are not playing well.
Are not, yeah. Oh my gosh, the Clippers.
And who knows if Kawhi's even going to play in that game? Who knows if Kawhi's going to play again the rest of the regular season? Harden does not look like himself. Let's give them a split in LA, and then they got Memphis home, Indiana home, Charlotte home. Man, this is not easy. I think the Cavs are going to end up with 3 more wins. That gets them to 49. Which means, do I think the Knicks are going to go 4-2? They could. Wouldn't be shocked. And then there's a possibility of Orlando go, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go Boston 1, Bucks 2, Magic 3.
I'll make
let's have some fun. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks 4, Cavs 5.
I will make my appointment for the chase down now. There you go. I think the Sixers get to 6, by the way, is where I'm going with this. So that's where I think they might win out.
They could. What their
hardest puts them at 47 and 35, which is my thought is if the Knicks, Sixers, and Magic finish in a 3-way tie, like potentially with the Cavs, then
you think the Sixers are going to catch the Knicks?
No, not the Knicks. Well, so my thought was the Knicks would have to get to 47 wins. The win tonight helps me ease my way to them not going 2-4 the rest of the way. So maybe 48 is better. But I think if the Knicks were to lose this game and potentially 47 is the number, then maybe. But I think they can get to 48, 49. You're right.
So let's just say the remaining schedule for the Sixers: Grizzlies on the road, Spurs on the road. Listen. I don't have to tell anybody watching this.
Yeah.
And then the Pistons, Magic, and then they end the season against the Nets. Yeah, they could win out. I would feel more comfortable saying 4-1, which would put them at 46 wins. And
against that Magic team, that's their path, by the way.
The Sixers,
as a 6 seed, they play the Magic that we've been saying. Give me the Magic first round.
Look, it's going to be wild. I do think at the end of the day, man, can you imagine if the Heat fell down to 8th? I look, I'm throwing darts here. You could tell me any order. Heat 6, you could tell me Sixers 6, you could tell me Pacers 6. And I believe it. The biggest remaining game of the season, by the way, is it the penultimate game of the year between Miami and Indiana? I think it is.
Isn't it this weekend?
Oh, is it this weekend? Sorry, I misspoke. That's my bad.
Yeah, they play on the 7th. Which is this weekend. Correct. Yeah. Pacers against the Heat in Indiana.
Yeah, and yeah. So we'll see here. Lots to be decided is the point. Lots to be decided.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks everybody in the super chat for being so patient. I can't wait to get to, for the first time in a week? Feels like a month. Some a happy post game here with the super chats. Starting, of course, who else could it start with but Robert W. Cross? First time, long time, it's your boy John. You cannot underestimate. Oh my God, starting off with a curveball here. You cannot underestimate the impact Coach Tibs has had on the culture of the Knicks. We compete, game in and game out.
Understate. You can't
understate. What did I say?
Underestimate.
Oh, understate. Yeah, I can't read. No, you can't, Robert. No, you can't. I know you're just giving the cat the old catnip there. It takes everybody. It takes everybody. It takes everybody in the organization. And he found guys that want to play his way. And the front office went out and got guys that want to play his way. This shit ain't for everybody, as we know. I'm not gonna name any names, but as we know, this is not for everybody. It's for these guys. These guys want it, and it's a match made in heaven. It's a match made in heaven. So credit to him, but credit to the front office, and obviously credit to the players. Thanks, Robert. Getting us off to a nice start. Oh, and here we go. Another one. First time, long time. It's your boy, John. Much respect for Julius. Grit, toughness, and wanted to compete. He is part of the fiber of our team. Now I can't tell if Robert's trolling. No, he's not. Like a lot of people, Robert has I think, I mean, again, I've done it. Questioned how far this team could go with Julius long term. And you just, I think, let's put it like this. I spent 20 minutes waxing poetic about what this team did just to, again, overcome a 21-point deficit and how and what they had to do to stay in this game. And after I praised them for like hanging around against the Heat and hanging around against the Thunder and hanging around against the Spurs and all these things, they need to give everything of themselves because they don't have Julius. And yes, I know it's also because they don't have OG Anunoby. But man, if you, I know we kind of played that game for a while. If you could only get one back, OG or Julius, and I kind of went with OG, although I think it was a really tough call. And I don't think there's a wrong answer. Like, you put Julius on this team right now, man, I think they'd be pretty good. And we got one more from Robert here. Jalen Brunson is a superstar and our number one. Full stop. Let's go Knicks. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that he is really in the running for 5th place in MVP. And I look, that may be a strange distinction to care about / first team All NBA, right? I have a funny feeling. I know it doesn't make any sense. I have a funny feeling he gets 5th in MVP, but ends up on the second team. I think voters are going to split the baby. And I think voters look at those two ways of honoring players as having perhaps slightly different criteria. That's just me. I might be dead wrong. Regardless, there have been so few guys in the history of this franchise that you could say that finished top 5 in MVP. Like, you could count them on you need a second hand, because if Brunson does it, because, well, let's just say as of right now, it's Melo finished 3rd, Ewing actually never finished higher than 4th, but he finished 4th a few times and finished 5th a few other times. Bernard King, obviously, who finished 2nd. Willis Reed, obviously, who won it. And then Walt Frazier, who I believe finished as high as 4th. I think that's the highest he ever finished. So only 5 guys in 77 years or 76 years, whatever it's been, have finished top 5 in MVP voting. And I think Jalen Brunson deserves to be the 6th. I think he's going to get it. I hope so. David Futternick. Hello, sir. I am just really proud to be a Knicks fan. Hashtag sometimes a Don does wear shorts. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. How could you not be proud of being a fan of this team? But look, in fairness, they owed us. They owed us because they put us through a lot of bullshit. over a very long period of time. And you're, I think, my age, Fuddy, so I know you've been there for all of it too. So, yeah, feel that pride. And don't feel bad about feeling that pride or feel like it's over the top or feel like it's unwarranted or any of that stuff. And as far as a Don wearing shorts, freaking Dante DiVincenzo, man, I'm gonna look up the updated standing or 3-point totals because I've been liking tracking that. Anyway, let's move on. Thanks, buddy. Kevin Danishevsky, all the classics are coming out. All right, so now I feel really good about staying out of the play-in, as you should. But with that all but locked up, I kind of hope they take an uber cautious approach with OG. I mean, it's going to be, are you going to see him in the last week of the season or not? That's it. That's the only decision. Are you going to see him in the last weekend of the season or not? Like, I don't know. That's his call. That's his call. It does seem like this is a re-aggravation thing, possibility, you know? And does he do something that re-aggravates the injury? But I guess the big difference, and this is a massive difference, is unlike Randall, where he did something and it eliminated the possibility of him playing basketball again this year. I think this is the sort of thing where if OG re-aggravates it or something flares up or whatever, it's not the sort of thing where it's like, all right, he's done for the rest of the postseason or he's not going to play anymore. So, and then from there, it just becomes about a pain tolerance thing. So, like, I don't know that they need to keep him in bubble wrap until the first game of the playoffs. At the same time, like, for a guy who is a perimeter player and a wing and the whole thing, like, I don't know how much he needs to, like, get in the groove or, like, redevelop chemistry with his teammates. Like, I thought when he came back for those 3 games, I thought he picked up right where he left off. So you have a valid point there. As I see a quote from Fred Katz, Josh Hart, who's playing through a wrist sprain on taking 0 threes tonight on his way to 31 points. Shooting the ball. I can't really get the ball to the basket from 3. So I just got to attack and take what the defense gives me. That's fantastic. That's a great call. Thanks, Kev. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? After the losing streak and Randall news, the gutsiest win of the season and the gutsiest Josh Hart game. Love this team. Hashtag 3-seed. Hashtag 3-seed for 30. I'm not ruling it out, to be very clear. I hemmed and hawed for a reason about the 3-seed. Could they get there? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's going to entail rooting very hard for Milwaukee against those in those Orlando games. And can the Knicks, I think it might take 4 more wins. Can they go 4-2? They can. They certainly can. It's a feisty Bulls team. I think they could go 4-2, though. I think they could go 4-2. Let's see what happens. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Disappointed 30 is out, but we have a scrappy playoff team we can be proud of. Flush with first rounders, chemistry, improving year over year. I think that's what it is. Boston better win one this year. That's all I'm saying. Big things coming. Well, one, yes. Milwaukee, not getting any better, and they have no assets to get better. Cleveland don't have any assets to get better. Could they get better? Could Evan Mobley improve some more? Sure, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of at the point with Mobley where I think I don't know if there's like some mega leap coming. Maybe there is. I don't know. That statement could age incredibly poorly. But we'll see. But I kind of think like, and what's happening with Donovan Mitchell, obviously, there's that. Miami, like, they use their chip on Rozier. Jimmy ain't getting any younger. Orlando's the sleeping giant, and they could really make some moves this summer to put themselves in a position to be like maybe not a true blue contender, but or maybe they could. I don't know. That's the one to look at, I think. And we'll see what's available to them. I have no idea. Indiana is another one where like they have certainly bullets in the chamber. Siakam's in his prime. Halliburton's just entering his prime. Like and they're going to get Mathurin back. Mathurin will get better. So they'll be there. The Magic will be there. Philly, we'll see what happens with them. So like the East is going to remain good and competitive. Where I agree with you is I don't think Boston's ever going to have a better shot than this year. Because if you look at the rest of the East, with all due respect to us, if Boston doesn't get out of the East this year, that's one of the most disappointing postseasons in the history of the league, as far as I'm concerned, if they don't get out of the East. If they lose to Denver in the finals, that's one thing. So I think it's a great sentiment by you, Dan. But Boston better take advantage. From there, it's not like I think the Knicks are going to walk to, finals after finals. There's going to be teams competing, but the Knicks are going to be right there with those teams. So, yeah. Jeff Guitars. Remember when we used to get punched in the mouth and the game would just be over? I love this fucking team. Yeah. Yeah, David Fizdale. He's not the one answering that door anymore. Got a different squad, different mentality. But again, it's not just the mentality. They have the skill, right? It takes skill. It takes skill to come back from 21 down. And whatever they were down, I think they were down by 21 against San Antonio too, right? And, to be down 8 in the fourth quarter against a Thunder team and come back to take the lead in that game, that might be the most impressive of everything. Just because the Thunder was so freaking good. But yeah, man, and they are a gritty team, but they are a good team. And what I love about them, I love a lot of things about them. What I thought really shone through tonight is, again, I referenced it earlier. They only shot 1 of 6 from 3 in the first quarter of this game, and they finished 12 of 28. That means over the final 3 quarters, they took 22 threes and they made 11. That's not easy. And they did it. Kudos to them. TJ2K, what's going on, TJ? I was never worried, John. Parentheses. I was incredibly worried. Yeah, I mean, I was processing it, and like I was feeling so down today that when they went down by 21, it was just like I never got a chance to get hyped up for the game to begin with. I kind of went into this game feeling like, man, I don't know. So when they went down by a bunch, it's not like I had gone up and went back down. I had just like remained down. And then what happened. Thank you, TJ2K. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. I appreciate Josh Hart. He can be frustrating, but in my opinion, he's a pretty damn perfect role player. Dante DiVincenzo, unreal. Great Deuce second half, yes. JB goes without saying. So I'm just going to say this. If Josh Hart was a guy who shot threes without hesitation and made... Let me think about this. Let's say he made 37%. But on volume. Like, maybe not DiVincenzo's trigger, but like McBride's trigger, right? Like McBride now. Like that trigger. And let's say Hart made 37%. But again, without hesitation. Like, he just fired whenever he was open. Is that a $25 million a year player? With everything else that he does and with everything else he brings to the table? More? Cam Johnson's a $25 million a year player. And he's a good three-point shooter. He fires without hesitation. He's good. He's not great. He's good. He gives you length on defense, but he doesn't do all the things Josh Hart does. That's a $25 million a year player. So I don't know. I kind of feel like, he's not Anunoby as a defender hard, obviously, because he's undersized and he's not as good as Anunoby defensively, but he also plays, and he brings that extra something. I don't know, man. I think 25 would be the minimum, and I think he'd probably wind up getting a little bit more than that. And what's he getting? If you factor in the fact that he opted in and then signed the extension, right? So a total of was 85 over. Andrew, check my math. 85 over the 5 years. That is 85 over 5 years. It's 14 a year. No,
85 divided by 5.
It's been a long few days. I would get mad at my daughter if she didn't know this.
Well, why? Oh, there's an ad. Sorry. Hold on a second.
Jesus Christ. Calculator app?
Well, so I downloaded a different calculator because it's better. Hold on.
It's under 15. I know that. It's like
divided by 5?
Was it 14.2 or 14.8?
85 divided by 5?
Yes.
It's 17.
Oh, I was doing divided by 6. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
Shout out
17.
to my calculator.
That's my point. 17. So him not being a guy who just puts it up from 3 whenever he has an opportunity probably is costing him about $8, $9, $10 million a year. That sounds about right. Like, I understand it kind of fundamentally changes how teams guard them, but if he's able to do what he did tonight and just constantly make plays on the drive, now it's a little bit more challenging to make plays on the drive and make teams pay even when they sag off you when Jalen Brunson's not getting doubled, which is an issue that obviously raises its head. But like, the reason I wanted to go through that little process there is to just remind folks, like, he is worth his contract. He's absolutely worth his contract. And, like, again, role players are not perfect players. Otherwise, they wouldn't be role players. So I'm glad you gave him a little shout out there. Danny Gardner, it's good to have you back, man. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Yeah. Only redeeming part about that fucking movie, by the way. I've said that before. Yeah. I hope you weren't out, but it's great to have you back in regardless. Thanks, Danny. Busy. Looked real bad for a moment. Not going to lie. I thought the worst. I'm glad they quieted those thoughts. If they had gone down like that, yeah, we'd have a lot of questions, but they don't go down like that. They don't. When does this team just go quietly into the night? Like, just again, just we don't have to. I don't have to spend too long on it. But like, looking back, their losses. I'm just going to go in reverse order with their losses. Heat game. Stan Van Gundy said it on the broadcast tonight, I think. The last 3 losses, they were tied or had the lead with 4 minutes to go. So Heat, Thunder, Spurs. The Denver loss, they lost by 13 points, but they were right there with 5 minutes to go. They did not let go of the rope against the defending champs in Denver, even though they were undermanned. But the loss before that was a loss against the Sixers when they lost by 6 points, and it might as well. I mean, but again, they just couldn't hit shots there. But that was a game until the final minutes. Before that was maybe their quote-unquote worst loss of the season. They lost by 16 to the Hawks, but that 16-point deficit is incredibly deceiving because they, in the fourth quarter of that game, that was a 5-point game in the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was a 4-point game with under 10 minutes to go. I'm looking at it right now. And that was even more than that. That was a 5-point game with 7:14 left to go. Sorry, that was a 4-point game with 6 and change left to go. So, and then the Hawks kind of ran away with it from there. And that was the game, obviously, without Jalen Brunson. So that's the Hawks game. They were right there in that game. And before that, Golden State game, right there. And then New Orleans. It's literally the one time since the All-Star break that they really haven't been in it down the stretch. One time. And then if you go back before that, there were some games that Brunson didn't play where they just kind of, as the fourth quarter went on. But like every one of these freaking games, with the exception of that Pelicans game, when the fourth quarter starts, they're right there. And for that to be the case since these injuries happened, that's wild, considering how some of these teams get blown out every night.
Can I hit you with some trivia?
You could try, sure.
So Jalen Brunson made it history tonight, becoming the 6th Knick ever to score 30 points 30 times in a season. Can you name the other 5?
Melo.
That's 1. Number 5 at 31. So Brunson, if he gets 2 more, will pass Carmelo Anthony.
Ewing did it in the 80. I always forget it's 89-90. I think it was the big
89-90. The tied for first with 36.
Bernard King
In 1984-85. I believe that's the year he won the scoring title. Did it 33 times. There's 2 more.
Is McAdoo one of them?
Bob McAdoo 32 times in 77-78. And then you're missing the one that's tied with Patrick Ewing.
Oh. Breen shouted about the other night. Richie Guerin
tied with Patrick Ewing with 36 30-point games in the 61-62 season.
Averaged 29.7 points a game that year. And I don't believe he was in the top 5 in scoring, because that was the year that a guy by the name of Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game.
Okay. So that just missed the leader there. Yes.
Yeah, he was a little short. Oh my God, great moment tonight when Mike Breen, or no, sorry, not Breen. Who was on the call tonight with Stan? I'm forgetting who it was, but when Fox was way short on a shot. It was like, oh, Fox short. I just like that. Hush Zoo. Tibs has to make the choice between Precious and Mitch. Why? No, he doesn't. That's the opposite of what he has to do. Mitch is on a minutes limit. He can't play a certain amount of minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein's on a minutes limit. He can't play more than a certain amount of minutes. What is confusing about this? Let's move on. Brando. I fucking love this team. Shout out to Josh Hart and JB. Pretty cool to see them and Dante DiVincenzo, the Nova boys, have over 80 points together. I don't know if this is, I don't think this is the most they scored together in a game, because Brunson just had 61, and I forget. I'm assuming Hart and DiVincenzo combined for more points in that game to like put them over whatever they ended up with tonight. But this is definitely, I think, the best game, or it's right up there with the best game the three of them have played together as pros. Thanks, Brando.
93 points against the Spurs.
There you go. So more than tonight. Greg B, what's going on, Greg? How are you, man? This team still believes, so should we. Damn right. Like, that's more, I mean, I don't think I need to say this, but the reason none of us should give up and just quit on this team and say, it was a fun year, I'll be back next season, is because they have earned our attention by far. Great response to Brunson getting trapped. Don't want to lose sight of the huge bogey buckets. Yeah, absolutely. Very important. And again, like when a game ends with like the final score is whatever it is, and you kind of tend to forget how there were quite a few stretches of that game where you felt, because you felt like you needed to keep momentum up. You felt like, man, they need a bucket here. Seriously, how many times in this game did you feel like there was a stretch where the Knicks were like, man, we need a bucket, when they were making that initial push, when they were trying to stay connected at the end of the second quarter? when they were trying to stay connected at the beginning of the third quarter, and then when they were making their big push late third, early fourth. And Greg B, you point out here, if only he could stop taking the threes 24 seconds on the shot clock. I mean, look, if you're going to blame Bogey for that, blame Tibs. Blame Tibs, because Tibs is telling these guys, if you're open, shoot it. And I think they said that on the broadcast too tonight. And like, if Bogey's open and he feels comfortable, he should shoot it. And again, it's not only what that does in the moment, obviously the potential to make the shot and potentially, but it's two other things. It's the effect that has on defenses where the defense is going to commit the next time because they feel like you're going to fire away, and then that gets the ball rolling down the hill and starts tipping over the dominoes. But more than that, they are a limited basketball team right now. I know they put up 120 tonight, and they were awesome. They're a limited basketball team right now as far as what they could do on offense. So that open three might be the best three that you could get. It might be the best three that you could get. Andrew, can we take a moment? We've been waiting for it since the beginning of the game. Oh, wait, no, he deleted it.
To laugh at the Miami Heat? What?
No, Fred had a tweet with Tibbs's full quote in response to what Fred was going to speak to Mr. Thibodeau about after this game, and he deleted the tweet. So we'll see if Fred tweets it out again.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Did we miss one? Or is this the next one? Okay. Danny Gardner. Saw Brunson shooting splits in the fourth quarters post All-Star break. I have a theory the Kings blitzing so much helped Brunson late. Being able to get off the ball and not working to score early saved his legs late. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, look, he's, for anybody who hasn't heard me say this ad nauseum, because I've been saying it for a while now, he has the highest usage rate in the league since Julius went down. He has the highest usage rate in the league since Julius Randle went down. That is a period of over 9 weeks, right? I think, or 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. No, 9 weeks. We're at 9 weeks now because what's today? Yeah, we're at 9 weeks at least. That's 9 weeks with the highest usage rate in the league. I know this wasn't the point of you're not criticizing Brunson, Danny. I want to point out for anybody who may not know. So the fact that he has been struggling from the field a little bit in the fourth quarters, like it's not normal for a human being that size to have a usage rate that high. His usage rate is higher than Luka Doncic. You know, it's one thing if you're a 6'9", 240-pound dude like Luka to carry that sort of usage rate. It's quite another if you're Jalen Brunson size. So I completely agree with you. I think it did him a favor, and like it's gonna, but it's gonna be tricky because close games down the stretch. Brunson's gonna be taking the shots, and like, look, he's hit shots against Thunder, hit shots against Spurs. Like he's hitting shots. It's just it's a lot to ask. So any little bit that they could do to make life easier for him is good. Dom the dentist. Don't you fucking cry, Macri. Nah, I'm not gonna cry. No, I do love this team though. I do love this team. Thank you, Dom. Brad Schenker. Hart gives you everything you could want as a fan. So what? He can't shoot. Go cry about it. Give me dog. That's what being a Knick is all about. TFT. What's TFT stand for again? This fucking team. Maybe that's how we do the t-shirt. TFT. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I love Josh Hart. I've unabashedly loved Josh Hart. I've made no bones about the fact that I think people who complain about Josh Hart are like, he's the guy to pick on, right? Because of that one flaw. And I get it. That flaw stands out in the league, the way the league is today. If Josh Hart played in the 90s, he might be an all-star. Maybe not an all-star, but like his life would be a lot easier, I think, if he played in the 90s. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. I think we have it now. You want to come up here for this? Or you want me to just read it?
Read it. Yeah, just read it.
Okay. So, this our well, he's your colleague because you produce his podcast.
Fred Katz of The Athletic, yes.
Fred Katz of The Athletic.
Our good friend and colleague.
Ask Tibs. Julius told Chris Haynes, who put a story out after we spoke to you before the game, that he had a setback, that he re-injured the shoulder 5 weeks ago. You had said no setback before. Can you give any? And then apparently Tibs cut him off. I didn't. The thing is, like, he was going through, and this is where we talked about he was taking contact, but it was controlled contact. It was with pads, right? And so some days he felt better than others. And then in the end, he had to trust his gut that he could play and play the way that he plays, which is he's very physical and aggressive with the shoulder. So if he can't use his shoulder, then he can't play. He can't change his style of play. So once he got to the point where he felt like he'd have a good day, and then the next day it wouldn't be as good. But hey, look, at the end of the day, I trust Julius. He's got to trust his body. So he took it as far as he could. And then he went to see some specialists, and he felt this was the best course of action. And so I've watched the way he worked, and I think some of you guys saw it as well. I don't want a guy out there that doesn't feel comfortable being out there. I don't think that's right. So we're going to support him. I love how he's gone so far afoul of this fucking question. It's disappointing. He was really having a monster year. So now just have the surgery, do the rehab, and be ready for next year. And the guys that are here, just keep doing what we're doing. Josh has stepped in and played great. Precious has played really well for us. He's now talking about Precious Achua. Hopefully we get OG back soon, and then we go from there. Next question. So Julius said, what finally caused me to go through with getting the surgery was about 5 weeks ago when I went through a full contact session and re-injured my shoulder. Tibs. Yep.
It's the whole answer. Yep.
Yep is the answer. So what exactly is he referring to there? It's fantastic. So every day he goes through contact. We felt it would be soreness. If it flares up a little bit, you want to see where he is the next day. And that was the big thing. We said, okay, the next day, the next day we'll take a look at it. And then if it doesn't feel better, if it got a little better and then he had another setback, it's telling him that it can't be done. So the first time he goes out there, he gets hit again. Now you've got to shut it down. So this is just around and around. So I think he's looking at that, and he wants to give the team everything he has, right? So it's not easy. It wasn't an easy decision. He gathered as much information as he could. He went through the process. And then this is the best decision right now. So that decision is made. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to focus on what we have to focus on, which is winning the next game. That's it. It's really that simple. Fred, I do have one more. There are no more. We're done with Julius. Fred, I'm assuming this is Fred. What are the pads? Can you just explain what kinds of pads he was using? Answer. They're almost like football pads. They're to absorb contact. Question. So it's like an assistant holding the pad. Answer. Yeah, that's really what it is. So you can control the contact and you can control how much you're giving it. And the idea was keep progressing. Give him more. If he handles that, give him more. And if that is constant, then let him go at a live body 1-on-0, and then you add a second one and a third one, and then you tell him what the action is. Tell him it's a cross screen so he knows what's coming, and eventually you get to the point where you just read and react. At no point in time did he ever answer any of the questions that were answered, with the exception of confirming that Julius Randle did indeed say the thing that Chris Haynes said that he said.
Wait, what didn't he answer? I thought he answered in full, actually.
Can you tell me definitively, right now, with everything that I read, whether Tibs said that Julius Randle took full contact?
Oh, he said I didn't at the top. So I assume that meant no. I
Wait,
didn't.
No, what do you mean I didn't? What do you mean I didn't?
The very first two words is that I didn't from Tibs? Because Tibs is like, you said no setback before. Or you're saying, did Tibs ever say that
Did Tibbs
Julius
ever
took full contact?
acknowledge that Julius Randle took full contact in
No.
any of the words that he said?
No, he said controlled contact.
Yes.
There's one more slide, but it's just about pads.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. And you guys are just holding the pads. Yeah, and that's what it was. And look, just like he did last year, he's gone through rehabs before, and he attacks them as part of it. You're a pro athlete. You usually do get injured, and then you got to go through the rehab and get ready for the next season. He's a mentally tough guy, and he'll be ready. Question, and he never advanced past the pads. Right? Answer, nah. Okay, so he does answer it. Tibbs says he never advanced past the pads.
There you go. And so the thing he said to Chris Haynes is that he got hurt taking pads. And like that was his setback, right?
Julius's, as reported by Chris Haynes, Julius's words were, I went through a full contact session.
Oh, that's different.
Which, look, one, Julius Randle's is not gonna step foot in front of the media again until next season. By which point, it will be so far gone that I guarantee you, Julius is going to say something to the effect of like, "Man, I'm ready to put that behind me," and you're not going to get anything else out of him. That's number one. Number two, if Julius was to go in front of the media at any point in time before this season ended, he would very easily be able to say, like, "Oh yeah, no, full contact with pads for sure." Man, Tom Thibodeau, undefeated.
Him going full, like it's just pads. Like he gave us a full instruction and tutorial on controlled contact with pads. You know,
it's just, oh God, I love the man so much. It's amazing. Thank you everybody for humoring me with that. I know that was Fred had been waiting all night for that moment, and I don't know if it lived up to his wildest hopes and dreams, but Mark R. Thank you, Mark R., for the generous contribution. In the infamous post-game interview with Alan Hahn and JB, we most remember JB's overcoming emotions. Not as well remembered is how he closes it out by saying, "We're going to keep fighting," and that's what we do. Yeah, well said, man. That's a great callback by you, Mark. Great job. They're gonna fight. Oh, this is our Mark. I didn't even realize that. It was our Mark. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like the notion that we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Is it possible they get swept out of the playoffs? Like, yeah, sure, it's possible. I don't know what's going to happen, but they're not going to go out with a whimper. No, it doesn't. That's not how they. Again, I keep saying it's not how they operate. They're not going to sit there and like logic it out. You know, as Matt Damon said, science the shit out of this. They're not going to do that. They're not going to take that approach. They're just going to go into every game with like, look, if we play our style and we play and we execute as well as we are capable of executing, we could win whatever game we play. And I believe that to be true. You know, against maybe anyone, but Boston's the only team in the league, honestly. Maybe Denver, but in the East, Boston's the only team in the East. Let's say that. Boston's the only team in the East that you can execute perfectly and they could still beat you because they're built that if they are checking all their boxes, like no one's going to beat them. Other than that, though, like if this version of the Knicks goes out there and executes, and I think that's what he was referring to, you know, that's what he means when he says we keep fighting. I-95 Bully, what's going on I-95 Bully? There are some pretty dumb people on the internet, you think? Needed this win. Just here for some good vibes. Shout out to 30. Nice job from Bogey. Love it. Don't pay attention to the internet. Why? Oh, sorry. Andrew's telling me to stop touching the mic. I'll stop. Stevens Guillaume, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, John. Yeah. There is. You know, I want OG to get back. I still think that's vitally important. Sounds like he's come back, And all I want, just get in the playoffs. Even if they somehow fall to 6, which I don't think they're going to do. I don't think that's going to happen. I have a funny, I think they're going to finish top 5. I can't sit here and tell you 3, 4, 5, whatever. I think they're going to finish top 5. But get in the playoffs and let's see OG for game 1. Wherever it is and whoever it's against. Thanks, Stevens. Busy. iHeart, 9 assists. Josh Hart, 8 assists. Jalen Brunson, 11 assists. The new way of life. Busy, what could you ever be implying? It was great to see. But they I'm gonna make it mad, Busy. They played that way because that's how the defense dictated to them that they needed to play. We talked about that at the top of the show. And so I think it is nice to see, but I didn't need tonight to say to show me that they could play this way. We always know they play this way. But I think, did Sacramento make their life a little bit easier? Absolutely. But why? But you have to go back to asking, why did Sacramento play that way? Why did they play that way? They played that way because they know that Jalen Brunson is a special individual offensive talent. And usage rate be damned, he's, even with all that he's had to do over the last 2 months, they didn't want that dude going one-on-one and generating buckets for himself, because that is still arguably the Knicks' most efficient form of offense. And if they double him once he starts going into his moves, he's going to make the right pass, kicking out to a shooter behind the arc. At least, with this scenario, they were like, all right, we don't think Josh Hart is going to make shots. Well, he did. So, yeah. It was great basketball. Thanks, Busy. All right, we got a couple from Hush here. We should only get players from Nova. I love them all. Me too. I don't know if Nova has anyone coming to the draft this year that's any good, but. And then another one from Hush. With OG, I'll never give up. This team is an Eastern Conference Finals sneak. We'll see. We'll see what seed they are. We'll see who they match up against. I want to see this team with OG. I want to see it. I want to see it really badly. There were a lot. I got some questions in the mailbag today. The Knicks Film School newsletter mailbag that I wrote about if actually. So the question was like, if either Randall or OG comes back, but not both, would there be some thought to taking Hart out of the starting lineup and keeping McBride in? And I landed on that would be easier if OG came back, but that ultimately I thought that Hart would stay in the starting 5 regardless. Just forecasting ahead, imagine this team with the ability to have Deuce McBride as their 6th man. And what I like about that, here's what I like about that. He could come in for Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, or OG Anunoby. He could come in for any of those 4 players. And it won't make a difference, because if he comes in for OG, well, then it's just the starting lineup you have now. If he comes in for Josh Hart, well, then it's just the 3 guards that you have now. If he comes in for DiVincenzo, well, then it's just the backcourt that you have now. And if he comes in for Brunson, well, that is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because then it's like, well, what does your offense look like? And I got to tell you, what's nice about the currency that they're building up in terms of like guys stepping up and giving them big minutes, in roles that they're maybe beyond what others expected them to fulfill. I think if you give me a lineup of Deuce, Devo, Hart, and Anunoby, I'd like to see that. And then you work Bogey in there somewhere. I don't know who you take. I don't know who you take out for Bogey. Maybe take DiVincenzo out for Bogey. So you keep the defense really sturdy, and then you're taking one shooter out for another. I don't know, but like my point is, when they get OG back, man, they could do some things. Thanks, Hush. Jessica, what's going on, Jessica? It's great to hear from you. This team has great resilience and just doesn't give up. They needed this win as badly as we all did today. Oh, my goodness gracious. Is that the comment of the night? Hart, Brunson, Ihart, just amazing. Let's go, Knicks. I really am going to have a tough time with the stars of the game. I know it already. DiVincenzo is going to get the shaft. And it's a crime if that's the way it ends up going. I don't know. I got to think about it some more. Hartenstein, he was so good. And his defense on Sabonis I thought was so important. But DiVincenzo was awesome too. They were all awesome. Thanks, Jess. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Juanon's become my favorite Substack chatter. He always brings some levity, and I don't know. We always seem to be on the same page. Tonight is further proof that we have the right coach. All-star out for the year and a shitty first half. What does this team do? Fight. Get hit. Move forward. Fuck everything but winning. Hashtag fire Tibs. I'm loving the appreciation the guy's getting. I really am. I just, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. I had to sit through watching this team not give a shit. Not give a shit. Forget being down when they're down by 20. Not give a shit when the score is 0-0 and the ball tips off. For the better part of 20 years, playing for Hall of Fame coaches, with real talent. We poo-poo those years. They had talent. Like Stephon Marbury was in the building tonight. Stephon Marbury, a guy who some people think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And he was coached by a Hall of Fame coach. He was coached by one of the guys who was ranked by the NBA as one of the 15 greatest coaches of all time when they put out their lists a couple of years ago, in Larry Brown. And that team was the biggest dumpster fire in the history of fucking dumpster fires. And that is just one example of so many examples of what this organization was for so long. Because, and again, to quote my friend Bernardo Zarowski, the rot was in the walls. And when the rot is in the walls, you can't extricate that with just anybody. And I'm not saying it was all this coach. Front office had so much to do with it. And needless to say, the players have had so much to do with it. But for all of the complaining about how this coach is set in his ways and is hard-headed and just will be stubborn as all hell, it was only going to be that sort of guy who was going to come in here and do what all of these other people tried to do and failed so spectacularly that a lot of them never coached in the NBA again. It's like, so yeah, I'm getting on my shit now. This is what you did, Juanon. This is what you wanted. Yeah, I think he was the right coach at the right time, and he's still the right coach at the right time. Jason M, what's going on, Jason? How are you, my friend? Brunson Hart looked like Steph Draymond in 2015. Damn right, man. Damn right. They needed him to. Credit to Steph. It's credit to Steph, Freudian slip. Credit to Jalen because he set up the pins and Josh knocked him down. Jesse D, what's going on, Jesse? How you doing, man? Massive win for a lot of reasons. Big non-Brunson minutes in the third. They held on to the rope. I'll pull it up right now. So, excuse me. The Knicks, when Jalen Brunson went out in the third quarter, I believe there was 2 minutes and change. No, it was 1:40 left. The Knicks were down by 4 points. 1:40 left. And then in the fourth quarter, I believe he came in with 10:18 to go. Was that it? 10:20 to go. Excuse me. They were tied. So they made up in 3.5 minutes. They made up 4 points when Brunson sat. That's just massive. That's just positively massive. Great job by you, Jesse. Thank you for pointing that out. I gotta note that. Appreciate the contribution. Rob DeLucia, what's going on? Rob, great to hear from you. Hello, beautiful KFS people. Here to contribute with this. The Knicks will beat your ass. That's all from me, JM. Yeah. No, that's all you need to say. That's all that needs to be said. They will. That you feel them. You will feel them tomorrow. Doesn't matter who you are. You'll feel them. And that's why, I know the Bulls have been playing with a lot of heart, and the Bulls have talent. Don't sleep on DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan's not going to get an All-NBA spot, but he'll get votes. Don't sleep on the Bulls. But that's why, I think there are teams maybe that come in to face the Bulls and they're not fully engaged. The reason I'm confident that the Knicks will get at least 2 of those 3 games against the Bulls is because I think they will do what they always do, which is come in and they will take those games incredibly seriously. And if you give me that 1 win against the Bulls, or 2 wins against the Bulls, and then you give me the win against the Nets, there's your playoff spot. And then if you can maybe get 1 more, well, then maybe there's your 3 seed. We'll see. Thanks, Rob. KP Medeiros, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I didn't. John, for what it's worth, I think you're incredibly out of the line, and we'd appreciate if you take a step back. Feel free to unsubscribe if you feel I'm being unfair. If you know, you know. Hashtag KFS V1. Yeah, that's an inside joke from earlier today.
And that's all I have to say. It's an inside joke. If you know, you know. Subscribe to the Knicks Film School newsletter. Maybe you'll join the KFS Substack chat and know. But thank you, KP Medeiros, for the contribution. Chewing on with another.
Look at you moving right on. Chewing on. Get the shirts made. Hashtag I am a Tom Thibodeau guy. I really want to do a Tibs t-shirt. I just don't know what it would be. Maybe we combine this fucking team with Tibbs' face in place of the U, or in place of some other letter there. I don't know. I really want to do a Tibbs t-shirt. We have to get someone on that. By the way, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to look up Dante Vincenzo 3-point total this year, which I'm going to do and then read Zach's chat. So Steph Curry's first in the league with 334. Luka's at 268 in second, total threes. Dante's at 260. And then Clay is at 246. And then you got Paul George at 231. It is wild that we're going to look up at the end of the season and 3 of the 4 leading 3-point shooters in the league in terms of total makes will have played for the Warriors last season. Anyway, Zach Lella, what's going on, Zach? So many guys to talk about tonight, but Jalen is unbelievable. After last year, he's somehow even better. 31 points on 12 of 20 shooting, 11 assists, and at least another 5 hockey assists, which I propose to be an official stat. Why isn't hockey assist an official stat? Like they even called it out on the broadcast. Brunson with the hockey on the arguably the best passing possession of the game because it was Ihart. It was Brunson to Ihart, and then Ihart kind of no looking it to or was it the other way around? Now I'm getting confused. I feel it was Ihart to Hart, right? Wasn't Hart to Ihart. But in any case, that's when they called out Brunson with the hockey assist. He's spectacular, and that's why, like, the one thing that I have disagreed with when people have look, there's a lot of emotions the last day or so, but this notion of like wasting this season from Brunson, like whether the Knicks could have done more to, make a certain trade at the deadline or whatever. Like, what should make anybody think that this guy's not going to get even better? Truly, he could get better. He could get better from three. He could become a better passer because we're seeing him become a better passer in real time. Like, I don't think we're at the ceiling yet. I really don't. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate the generous contribution there, man. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? I'm so happy. Now go get that fucking home court. As we get some news from Shams that Miami Heat guard Tyler Herro is going to try to make it back, apparently. Let's go. The East better pray OG isn't going to get right because Mitch is getting there. This is the best that Mitch has looked by far. Bad job by me. I'm almost 100 minutes into this live stream, and this is the first time that I am mentioning explicitly that I thought Mitch looked the best that he's looked since he came back. Without question, I thought there was a couple of possessions in particular, one that's sticking out in my mind right now, where he was guarding the pick and roll in the second half. And I just thought he was looking really bouncy, really spry, really on his feet. I thought he was skying for rebounds there, in particular in the second half, coming off a game where he had, I forget how many. If he had, he had like one rebound in the second half, or sorry, one rebound against the Miami Heat. Tonight he had 7 rebounds in 15 minutes, so quite a turn, albeit against a different sort of opponent. Thank you, Dom. I'm happy too, man. I'm happy too. And 5 offensive rebounds, by the way, from Mitch. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. My God, Tibs is the MVP of the season. I know Brunson's the guy, but Tibs has the pulse of this team. This coach deserves all the praise to keep them focused. Look, I just did the Tibs soliloquy, so I'm not going to do it again, but it'd be really cool if he made it onto the final Coach of the Year awards ballot. Only 3 names are allowed on there. I still think it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle because I think Daigneault and Mosley are guaranteed 2 spots. And so Tibbs is competing with, I mean, realistically, I think it's going to come down to that for that last spot. I think it's going to come down to for him and Mazzulla. And yeah, I think it's going to come down to him and Mazzulla. For as much as I think Willie Green should get some love, I think it's going to come down to Tibbs and Mazzulla for the 3rd spot on the Coach of the Year ballot. I think Mazzulla's going to get it. Chris Finch. Chris Finch also. I always forget about Chris Finch when I talk about Coach of the Year. Chris Finch could get that 3rd spot, actually. So I would say that Tibbs is definitely in the top. He'll finish in like the top 5 when you finish looking at all the Coach of the Year voting. But if I had to bet money right now, I would bet that he would finish in 5th after the other 4 that I mentioned. He's been great. He's done an amazing job. Alex, what's going on, Alex? Other Alex. Most confident Josh Hart game I've seen on offense. Took what was given to him and didn't pass out of any easy buckets. Need to start off these games faster, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, again, to fault them after the emotional day that was, I mean, we all felt it. Imagine how they were feeling it. But tomorrow night, second night of a back-to-back against a team that has had 3 days off. Now, a lot of times you see teams that are one team is on the second night of a back-to-back, the other team hasn't played in a while. A lot of times the team that is on the second night of a back-to-back will actually come out with and take the lead and like look better initially because the other team is like rusty. But I don't know. I'll be curious if that's the case tomorrow in Chicago, especially considering it's a travel day. We'll see. So I don't know. My point, I guess, is that I don't know if tomorrow is going to be the day to judge that. But yeah, I mean, they need to get off to better starts. But I don't think it's an issue yet. I think it's more of a matter of circumstance than anything else. Thanks, Alex. OG team. Notice how Tibs didn't get fined by the NBA after that post-game interview. Because he didn't specifically say anything about the refs. Like Tibs is smart. And if Tibs wanted to push the envelope, he knows how to push the envelope. He did not feel the need to do so at that point. But he got his point across. Did he ever? John Sands, what's going on, John? Why do you think DiVincenzo hasn't popped as a nickname yet? And where do you rank that on the season's largest disappointments? I'll hang up and listen. I go with Devo. I just like Devo. I don't know why. I think it's easy, and even though it's DiVincenzo, and I'm like kind of like just taking out a bunch of letters in his last name. I kind of like Devo. Also, like Dante is such a badass first name, but DiVincenzo, and he also has the big ragu. That's the other thing. He already has a nickname. I don't know. It's a little corny to me. I might be in the minority on that one. I think DiVincenzo might be a little corny, but I'm not the best judge of that either. Appreciate that though, John. We'll see. Maybe you'll get it going. Sam L, what's going on, Sam? People who kill Josh Hart do not know ball. Well, I would never be so bold as to accuse anybody of not understanding the sport of basketball. He is so clearly their X factor, absolute weapon. They are impossible to beat when the guy plays well. I think that is one of the marks of a great role player, right? That's one of the marks of a great role player. And we could think throughout this team's history, certainly, of guys who filled that role. J.R. Smith, different sort of cat than Josh, different game, but similar in that there are nights that Josh Hart has that are very frustrating, right? There were nights J.R. Smith had that were very frustrating. But the difference is that even when Josh Hart is having a frustrating night because he just maybe the confidence isn't there in his jump shot, or he's just off from three, or whatever the case may be, he's still doing all the other things. He may not be giving you the extra, but he's not taking anything off the table in any other area of the game besides the shooting part. Which, again, if this roster was fully the way it should be in theory, those would be the sorts of nights where you could only play Josh Hart 22, 23, 24 minutes. But they don't have that luxury right now. So when he is having a night where he's not feeling it from deep, or when he's just having a night where he probably shouldn't even fucking play, like against Miami, he gets dinged for it, and he gets all of the hatred from hatred is a strong word, but he gets a lot of agita from fans. But he's only out there because they need him out there, because they don't have anybody else play who could do what he does. So, yeah, I'm happy you shouted him out. I'm here for it, definitely. Haitian Ferg. Love you, Haitian. Thank you so much for the contribution, man. Great seeing you last night. The Knicks have a culture. Losing Julius Randle hurts, but this team has the heart and mentality to win. Tibs has the battery in their backs. This team doesn't die. They make us proud, win or lose. Somebody get John a Ricola. I swear to God, this was sitting here the whole time. I've been looking at it. I forgot it was there. Now, Andrew's going to be mad because I just ingested a type of food, and he's going to be pissed because now you're going to hear me chewing on it occasionally.
Yes, what are you doing?
I'm listening to Haitian, who's one of our best patrons. It won't impact me, I promise.
Sure.
I got this. I got this. I'm like telling him to leave me in with 5,000. There's like 2 quarters left. Thank you, Haitian. Alex, other Alex. Also, Monk is a massive loss for the Kings. He's probably the 3rd most critical player. Do they have enough scoring without him to factor in the playoffs? I don't think so. I think at this point, I think Monk is my pick for 6th man of the year. I think he's going to win 6th man of the year. Him or Norm Powell. I think the Kings were already viewed as like the opponent that if you're a West team and you're trying to advance in the first round, the Kings are probably the opponent that you want. Now, that was before this. Now without Monk, I think absolutely. Because he is. Do you realize that Malik Monk went into tonight's games at least, 10th in the league in crunch time scoring off the bench. And you look at the top 50 leaders in crunch time scoring total points. I don't think there's another player that is on that list that is coming off the bench. He's vital to what they do. To say nothing of the fact that he's the leading scorer in the league off the bench. Thanks, Alex. Dom with another one. Josh Norman Bates Hart. He can play on my team. Wow. Okay. I like it. It's creative. Haven't seen Psycho in a while, but I like it. Thanks, Dom. Kevin with another one. By the way, how about Bogey? In my opinion, he over Precious Achiuwa for the playoff rotation. Well, here's a nice thing about this. Just thought about this now. Here's a nice thing about what Tibs gets to do with Precious. You got Hardenstein on a minutes limit. It is very clear that Hardenstein is exiting the game after 6 minutes. And I don't think that's changing. I do not think that is going to change come hell or high water, even when the playoffs get here. So then Mitch comes in. Okay. Mitch comes in. Mitch is on a minutes limit. He can't play more than whatever it is, 6 or 7 consecutive minutes. So Tibbs is going to get a chance to get Hartenstein in, I think, in the playoffs as the 3rd center. Now, it might only be for a couple of minutes, but in that time, you're going to be able to see, does Precious have it tonight? Is he on one? Is he like the Energizer Bunny? And I think in doing so, it'll kind of give Tibbs a little bit extra flexibility in terms of, all right, do I want to try to squeeze in some minutes with Precious at the 4? I don't know. I will say this. If Bogey keeps this level of scoring into the playoffs, he's absolutely going to be a member of the playoff rotation. So we'll play it out. OG's back. Assume Deuce goes to the bench. Deuce is your 6th man. Mitchell Robinson is your 7th man. And then I think he's going to play 9 guys in the first half. Like first playoff game, I think he's going to play 9 guys in the first half. And then in the second half, depending on game situation, depending on how guys play, maybe that number goes down to 7 or 8. Maybe that number goes down to 7. Maybe it's Bogey if he doesn't have it. He only plays a couple minutes. Whatever the case may be. I think you're going to get both guys in the playoff rotation to start because I think he's going to play 9 guys. Thanks, Kev. Brad Schnecker, how many coaches are winning that game after the first quarter? How many teams are winning that game after the first quarter? You know? That's why. Like, yeah, it's the chicken or the egg. He has instilled in them a toughness and a belief that is unshakable. But the reason why he has been able to instill that in them is because they have allowed him to instill that in them. And a lot of guys, I'm not naming any names. A lot of guys wanted no part of what Tom Thibodeau requires of you if you want to win basketball games for him. So, and those players are one in particular I'm thinking of. Not here anymore. Thanks, Brad. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? Great gutsy win. Yes, amen to that. Great gutsy win. What a confidence they have. What a self-belief they have. To just be like it doesn't even feel like they ever wavered. Like, I know they were down by 21, and then almost as soon as they went down by 21, it's like, all right, we'll cut it back, and they cut it right down. You know, they went on that run, right? I think I wrote it down. Yeah, in the 16-2 run. 16-2 run. Thanks, Sam. Will Oliver, I bet us money line. We were down by 21. The team doesn't quit. What odds did you get? I bet you're taking yourself out to a nice dinner tomorrow night. I hope so, at least. Good job by you. Wish I had done that. Thanks, Will. Chris Carter. Hashtag Fox News. Hashtag MAGA John. Proud Boys, right? Proud Boy. What is it? Like, do they have a saying or something? You're muted. I think you're muted at least.
Yeah, I'm muted. It's All Lives Matter Macri.
Oh, that's it. Yes, it's very clear.
Yes. Love that haircut, and every time you get it. It looks good. Makes me
I have
wonder
not gotten that haircut
where you were on a certain Thursday in January 2021, but you know. By players that aren't here anymore, you're clearly referring to Evan Fournier, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. And we'll move on from that.
Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Again, Dom, you're too much. Roller coaster season full of ups and downs. They aren't done, but they've officially surpassed my expectations of 44 wins. The best is yet to come. So should I say it? Should I spill the beans? I went on with Dexter Henry and CP before the season. We went in studio, and I gave a public prediction that was filmed and disseminated, behind a big fancy desk. And Andrew reminded me, because I had forgotten. Andrew reminded me last night that it was my public prediction was 47 wins, 47-35. So same record as last season. Which, I think they will. If I had to bet on it right now, I would bet that they would surpass. Maybe only surpass it by one game, but I think they'll surpass it. I think they'll get at least 3 more. I could see them getting 4 more. Regardless, that was my public pick. Privately, in the town hall that we did right before the season started, I was like, you know what? I'm starting to have some doubts, and I forget what the hell my reasons were. They weren't very good reasons. And I think I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to pick 45 wins. And so they have matched my total that I predicted in private, shamefully, with my tail between my legs. We'll see where they end up. Thanks, Tom. Zach Horowitz needed that one, eh, boys? Bogey is bogeying. GB KFS? What's GB? GB. I don't know what
God
GB
bless.
is. Oh, God bless. Thank you. God bless you, Zach.
He's referring to God, not Tom Thibodeau, by the way.
Maybe that's the T-shirts. Tibs with this halo around his head. Yeah, I needed that one. Again, late second, third quarter, early fourth, I really set in. I'm like, man, they can't lose this game. Like, I'm not going to physically be okay if they lose this game. And they didn't. Thanks, Zach. Just so focused. Where you been, man? Yeah. See, that was pretty good. Was at the game, John, and what a great finish to an emotional day. Let's get to the finish line and see what's shaking. Hashtag swag on 10. See, I know what that means now. Yeah, I want to get there. You know what would be so lovely? Like, truly, just lovely, is if the last game of the season didn't matter and they could get like an extra 2 days of rest. How nice would that be? I have a funny feeling that's not going to be the case. Like, it'll be a situation where like there's another team that maybe is ahead of them that'll will probably win. So if the Knicks win, it won't, but they win, it won't matter. But I don't know. It'd be nice to get an extra couple of days. But even if they don't get that extra couple of days off, they're going to have, again, it's not clinched yet. So I shouldn't say anything. They will likely get play-in week completely off. And on we go. Thank you, Ja. Armand Bernajaj. What's going on, Armand? 2 things. This fucking team and make the Knicks great again. Oh, that's a great throwback to my buddy Dolan J. Trump, who was always a good time. Thank you, Armand.
He's referring to your appearance on Fox News earlier, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
My goodness.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
I didn't even occur to me when I said Fox News that was what you took away from it.
Wasn't the only one, John. The chat reacted exactly how I did. That would have been news. I was busy watching the Mets, and apparently you went on, Tucker Carlson. Oh, I don't think he's even there anymore. Who's the guy?
I couldn't. I've never watched Fox News, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, cleaning it up. There you go.
That's it.
You're more an InfoWars guy.
The sad truth is I don't watch the news anymore. I haven't watched the news in years.
Not wrong. Me neither.
Yeah.
Shout out Sports Center. I
don't watch that either. I've completely opted out of knowing what the fuck is going on in the world. Sam L. Hope Jaime gets a hemorrhoid, or pinworms. Even better. Either one. How about both? Why not both? Pinworms and hemorrhoids. It's what Jaime Jaquez Jr. deserves. Thank you, Sam. Bill Peter friend, what's going on, Bill? My email buddy. That was a huge relief of a win. This team had such heart. H-A-R-T. Yes, they do. They do, and they did, and they do. And they will continue to. It's so cool that our two of our main players have the last name Hart. What are the odds? What are the odds? I-95 Bully with another one. Thank you, I-95 Bully. Appreciate you as always. Would rather have Orlando in the first round instead of Miami. I'll take the 4th seed. Worry about second round matchup when we get there. Hashtag KFS Discord. I feel bad saying this because, again, every time I watch that freaking team, they impress me so much. You know what I was looking at today? I was, again, just doing my research for All-NBA and six-man and everything. He's played so few minutes. He averages 15 minutes a game. He's only played 50, 52 or 53 games, whatever it's been. The freaking Magic are 10 points per 100 possessions better when Jonathan Isaac is on the floor. That dude comes in and wrecks what you want to do, which is kind of a frightening thought, considering the Knicks bench is not exactly world beaters right now. So, though you want to talk about scary times, those would be scary times because the Knicks would that's what makes that series interesting, because the Knicks would feel so much pressure, I think, to get out to a lead, because if God forbid they're down when Jalen Brunson goes to the bench, and I think this has helped the Magic win a lot of these games. Well, Jonathan Isaac's coming in, and it's like, guess what? If you were down before he came in, you're going to be down probably by more by the time he leaves. And I think that is like, there's like, you don't win. How many games have they won? I don't even know how many games they won. 45 games, 46 games. You don't win that many games by accident. You know, you're not a potential 50-win team by accident. Like, for as bad as their offense is, and their offense is bad, it's 21st or 2nd or 3rd in the league, whatever. Like, they come at you and they defend well from the opening tip, and they have enough offense. And then their bench just comes in, and it's like, you know, you're in a tight game, this and that, and the bench comes in and just throws the hammer down. And then you survive those minutes. Oh, well, here's Paolo again. They're a tough team, and yet none of these teams are going to be easy to beat, OG or no OG. So I don't know. I'd probably take Orlando. Thanks, I-95 Bully. Josh, so focused. Per Josh Hart, I was right being hard on him. He wasn't playing half as well as he is now. This team has so much less heart without him. I don't even know how to take that comment, Ja.
I do. Thank you, Ja. Thank you for being hard on Josh Hart, so that way he turned it around. We appreciate you being hard on him and how you clearly were responsible for the win tonight and his performance. He was like this close to being like, I'm not going to play tonight, but then he knew that that what I say.
No, yeah, that was what I'd say to that Ja.
Focus was like, he's going to shit on me in the KFS postgame show. So I thank you on behalf of John Macri and Josh Hart for being hard on him, so that way we can get this performance.
Hold on before you leave. I have a question. Skylar Durrell and New York Basketball retweeted this. Tweeted that the Knicks tied their biggest comeback win of the season, being down 21. I don't remember offhand which game they were down by 21 in. Do you?
Give me a second. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Oh, the Heat. Black Friday.
Duh. There you go.
Yeah.
Good job by you.
That was fun.
Evan Anthony. As Josh Hart is surprised by a J. Cole something or other. Evan Anthony would love to try Bogey starting at the 4, OG at the 3, emulate the January random rotation more closely. Hart first subs in for Bogey, OG slides to the 4. So before I bite your head off, because my inclination was to be like, what are you fucking nuts? Your theory is sound. Julius, just like Bogey, is an offense first player, and he is somebody that, maybe the defense is a little questionable. Obviously, Julius, in terms of offense, can do more and score in different ways than Bogey, but Bogey's a shooter. The reason why I'm inclined to say that they're not going to do that, for a few reasons. One, Tibs, and I think with good reason, always has believed you start with your with your, maybe not your best defensive lineup, but like your starting lineup in terms of the defensive infrastructure has to be sound. And for as much as Julius Randle was not going to be making any all defense teams, he was a big body. And the one thing that he always contributed to the defense, always was on the glass. Now, you could tell me they're not going to need that as much because they have Hartenstein and they would have OG Anunoby. I don't know. Randall also big time with the offensive boards. We get a lot of offensive boards. Now, if you have Hart and OG, I think you're grabbing more offensive boards than if you have OG and Bogey. Bogey ain't out there grabbing offensive rebounds. So that is another thing that you take away from your team. And then the other part of it is like Bogey is a more limited player in that if he's not shooting well, he doesn't really give you anything else. Those are the sorts of players that should be on the bench, because if they come in and they don't have it, all right, well you could curtail their minutes. Hart, for as much as the shooting it comes and goes, he gives you so much else, and he gives it to you pretty much all the time. So I don't think they're going to do that. I would not do that. I don't think that your logic is crazy, to be clear, but I think it is. There's probably a little bit more to it than meets the eye. That's all. Thank you, Evan. Kenneth Escalona. What's going on, Kenneth? How you doing, man? Awesome win. So the question now, who will get the number 4 position with Precious Achiuwa? Or will we ever see iHeart and Mitch together? Hope to see more Fred Katz. Well, Fred Katz is on here all the time. We're doing I don't know if
No, we banned him.
Oh, okay. We banned Fred
earlier
Katz.
Today. He reported misinformation. Literally yesterday, he said that Julius Randle would be back.
Yes, hard and fast info. No, Fred will be back on next week. Who will get the number 4 position? I think you mean like the backup 4. Like I said, I think the rotation is going to be, you're going to see in the playoffs, Mitch is going to be the first guy off the bench. He's going to come in for Hartenstein. Right around there, you're going to see Deuce come in. Depends if he wants. Because if OG is on some sort of minutes limit, which he might be cleaner. It'd be cleaner if Deuce came in for Hart. Now, that might be matchup dependent, and it might be matchup dependent because if they're playing a bigger team, Tibs may not feel as comfortable having 3 guards out there at the same time. So maybe Deuce comes in for DiVincenzo in that case. But, like, I don't know. I think you can go a couple different ways. And then Bogey will then come in, and he'll be the last perimeter player. I think he'll be the last perimeter player to sub in. And then Precious at some point will sub in for Mitch. And then maybe Hartenstein then subs in for someone not Precious. So it slides Precious to the 4 for a period of time, and we'll see. Does he put will Brunson have gotten enough rest to be re-entered by the point that happens? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go, and it's complicated because these guys are on minutes limits. Brunson's still on a minutes limit, to say nothing of Mitch and Hartenstein. So stop. Oh, look at that. Michael Malone just got ejected with his team down 8 to the Clippers. Thanks, Kenneth. Appreciate you. Buddy with another one. Had to throw one more in the hat since it's Josh Hart night. Well, thank you, man. You go above and beyond, truly. In addition to being tough as nails, is he the funniest player we've ever had? Absolutely. Honestly, the only guy that I have competition for me is Mitch. Mitch is a different type of comedy. Hart's like stand-up comedy. Mitch is just a funny fucking guy. That's a great one. That's good. Okay. I'm told that we have 3 from the same person coming up next, and I'm supposed to brace myself. I don't see anything. What?
That's what I was telling you to brace yourself for. The dollar.
There's no comment.
There's 2 more with an actual comment. But Bogey 425. I don't know if this is actually Bogey. We apologize. If Boyan Bogdanovic is a patron of Knicks Film School, we apologize. But also in the spirit of Josh So Focus, you're welcome. That we got you to start playing better. So that's one.
Thank you,
and then
Bogey 425, and thank you again. Literally first time, long time, and I messed up. However, Substack was in shambles today. John had to yell at us. Oh my God. I didn't do any yelling. I really didn't yell. I just said that I thought, someone was being a little out of line. That's all. That's all it was. I don't think I was wrong either. I think someone was being a little stubborn. I listen. I have to try to respect the sanctity of the realm, and if the realm is uniformly like, hey man, this is get out of town with these takes, then you got to do what you got to do. Anyway, this win is necessary for morale. John, your passport is still revoked from Bogey Island. I didn't know it was revoked to begin with, but that's I think I've been pretty fair with Bogey. What do you think?
I thought you turned on him recently. No, actually, you did turn him on. It might have been the Friday against the Spurs because
I was very frustrated.
You said Benji was right. I was wrong.
And I still think Benji was right. I was wrong. Yeah. But I honestly, I've been thinking that for a few weeks. Then again, like, I think everybody lost that trade.
I like that. Well, no, the Pistons won. They got Malachi.
They got Malachi Flynn.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I think
Bogey.
the uptick in what we've seen from Bogey is like a very encouraging sign for what it's worth.
It's extraordinarily encouraging.
12 points in 12 minutes tonight. That'll play for.
They'll need him.
12 playoff minutes.
If he could give them. If he could give them like 3 for 5, 4 for 7, and not be an abject disaster on defense and turn the ball over, like that's all he needs to do.
I don't know if he can do all those things, but don't lose your minutes is where I am with Bogey. Because even tonight he had, I swear, during the playback, I literally said like, "Hey, it's still possession to possession. We're seconds away from him throwing the ball out of bounds." And as I was finishing the sentence, he threw the ball out of bounds. So that's just how you got to take it with Bogey. 2 more from Bogey, by the way.
Thank you, Bogey. Go Knicks. Love it. With hashtag go NICKS. And then finally, Bogey, again, thank you very much for the generosity. Truly, man. Last one, God Mode Andrew Claudio coming into the Substack today changed everything after John brought the hammer down.
I just checked in to see what happened and then put in a GIF and then left. And it was like, someone commented, Andrew was like, "Hey, you guys got it. Like, whatever. Like, you guys got this." And that was pretty much my reaction. Like, I threw my hands up, was like, "You guys got this. Like, I'll pass."
It was fine. That was fine.
I was Donald Glover in that GIF from Community. Yes. Shout out Evil Dante, by the way.
I actually forgot to start a game chat today, which was it was a wild day. It was wild. Made more, not wild, but made Thursday's the day where my wife doesn't get home until 9:30 at night. So alone with the kids for the whole time today.
Yeah, your daddy duty. You had the drama and the Substack chat. We had an emergency live stream. Your Fox News appearance. Yep.
Can't forget about that.
Yeah.
No.
Fair and balanced, Jonathan Macri.
Is that their slogan or something? I don't even know. Josso focused. Last one. What's the playoff rotation cap now? 8? No, I think it's. I'd bet right now on it being 9. I think 9 guys play. Burks is not going to be one of the 9, but I think it'll be 9 in the first half at least, and maybe it gets cut.
I agree.
Robert W. Cross. First time, long time, it's your boy John. The Knicks had a ballsy effort tonight. Did it tickle your fancy? It did, Robert. It did.
There's an emoji of 2 blue balls on the screen. 2 frozen balls.
Smiling balls.
Yes. They're frozen. No, they're frozen. They're like shivering.
I've never known any blue balls to be happy in my day.
Hence the shivering face that's on these 2 blue balls.
4 smiles. It's unfortunate.
Let that sit. 3 more.
That's what she said. Giovanni Mistretta. Said it Tuesday. I'll say it again. Stay positive. These Knicks, I think, refuse to lie down. 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't give a fuck. Get OG back. Mitch, 100%. Who are you scared of? Let's fucking go Knicks.
Hell yeah.
They're not going to be scared of anyone. They're not going to be scared of Boston. Like they're not. That's not. I don't think they're going to wilt. We haven't seen them wilt at all. We haven't seen them like they get down, but like what is nice about this team that is different from. I mean, God knows the team 2 years ago, but even the team last year at times. I think this team does well with prosperity. When they get up and they take advantage of a team that's not playing well and not hitting shots, not to say that they haven't let teams back in this year. They have let a few teams back in this year, but like, I have a lot of confidence if this team is like up and playing well, that they're going to be able to close the door.
It's backed up by data. What's the stat that Jeremy got mad at Mike Breen for reading? A 30-5 when they have a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter.
Oh, I didn't even remember that. Yeah, but
yeah, sure. When they get up big, they don't really blow it. So, yeah. All right, 2 more from Josso Focused.
Not blowing it can lead to certain conditions. Josso Focus, last one. How crazy is it that Tibs is going to coach his third Knicks playoff team in 4 seasons with at most 1 or 2 players from the first run available? So who's the 2? It's Mitch. Who else is it besides Mitch? Who am I forgetting?
How crazy is it that Tibs is going to coach his third Knicks playoff team?
I mean, available. Alec Burks will be available. He's not going to play, so it's going to be just 1. He's saying Tibbs took a team to the playoffs his first year here with a roster full of guys, right?
Oh yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah,
that's all he's saying. Alec Burks, because or 2 implies that Burks may not be guaranteed 2.
And how about this? It is entirely possible. That we'll see if. Well, I mean, look, we'll see what happens with Burks. We'll see if OG's actually fully healthy, whatever. A lot of we'll sees. But it's entirely possible right now that there will not the Knicks could certainly in game 1 of the playoffs this year, the entirety of the minutes that are played by the players in game 1 of the playoffs, not a single one of those players who play those minutes will have played any minutes in their 5-game loss to the Hawks. Because Mitchell Robinson was not available in that series. And nobody else was here other than Burks, and I think Burks may not play. Is that a testament to Tom Thibodeau? Absolutely. Especially when you consider how many other coaches in the history of this franchise have 3 playoff appearances in 4 years. I believe. So remind me when Woody took over during Lynn Sadie's season. So it's not Woody.
Nope.
It was Woody.
Last one's Van Gundy.
It was Van Gundy, Riley, and then holy shit, do you need to go back to Holzman?
Yep. The 80s?
UB only made those 2 playoffs if I recall. Or maybe late 80s no coach lasted long enough to make 3 playoffs in 4 years. No, you look at the franchise index.
I'm looking. Yeah, I am.
I think you have to go back to red. Pretty sure you have to go back to red.
Yeah, because Patino is 2 years, 2 Jackson 2 years, and Hubie made it his first 2 years, and then didn't make the playoffs his last.
Fired in year 5.
Yep. So you got to go to Holtzman,
and then before that, it's just Eddie Donovan. So that's it. He'll be the 5th coach in the history of the team to do this, and I think he's a top 5 coach in Knicks history.
That's a.
Wait, not Eddie Donovan. Joe Lapchick?
Lapchick.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Donovan never made the playoffs with the Knicks.
Sorry.
No, you went further back than a lot of people would, John. Don't apologize. Last one.
Josso Focused. Benji wasn't the only one able right about the trade. Praise me.
Were you not listening earlier? We praised you for getting Josh Hart to turn his season around, his game around. This game does not happen tonight without Josso Focused. In fact, John, your stars of the game just got more difficult because you got to give 3 stars to Josso Focused and then maybe 2 stars to Josh Hart, but only 1 goes to him and the other goes to Josso Focused. And then maybe you can give Jalen Brunson 1 star.
All kidding aside, this is the Josh Hart game, right?
Who's kidding, by the way? I know. Go ahead.
This was the Josh Hart game?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that I feel comfortable giving Josh Hart 3 stars.
You want to give it to Brunson?
Not only did not everything Josh Hart accomplished, but a lot of what Josh Hart accomplished tonight, not only was a lot of that result of the result of Jalen Brunson, but on top of that, Jalen Brunson had 35 points. I'm not even going to count his assists because that led to Hart, but 35 points on 20 shots. On top of setting the dominoes.
If I know John Macri, who is a very talented writer, I think the way you can spin it in your newsletter this morning will tomorrow morning or whenever you're listening to this.
Today, where it's 12:30.
Later, will be that it will be in some way that's like, oh, that's how you spun it. So you can credit Jalen for Josh's game, but also praise Josh for the game that he had.
I'll figure out a way.
And credit Josh so focus while you're at it.
All right, we done?
Yes, we are done.
Needed this tonight. I needed it. The fans needed it. Team needed it. Needed it. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel that you're watching right now. And if you're listening on the podcast later, go the old 5-star route. And if you want to leave a review as well, that would be helpful. I will be back. I think I'm doing a watch along tomorrow night. So if you want to join us for a watch along, I think you could subscribe to the Patreon, right?
Nope, we made those public a while ago.
Oh, we're doing public watch alongs. Okay.
Yep. So join us on Playback.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, join us on Playback and on YouTube still or no?
Yep, still YouTube and Twitter.
Oh, so we look at us.
We're everywhere. Yeah.
Full service operation. So watch the game along with me, John Macri, tomorrow night when they face the Bulls, which I'm going to say it right now, I'm not going to be distraught if they do not win that game because they got the win they needed tonight. Hopefully they win though. I hope they. If they win that game, man, that would be nice.
Sets you up for a 2-2 week. Oh, you went 3-1. Never mind.
I could still get to 3-1.
The way Milwaukee is, yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying, I thought you would have already gotten your second win, is what I'm saying.
Thought I would have already gotten my second win.
I thought you went 2-2, is what I'm saying. So no. They can't go 1-3 is my point.
No, they can't go. Yeah, but you're right. If they lose another game, then I lose the week. Is your point? Okay. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they don't lose another game. All right, that's it. We will talk to everybody later. Peace out.
So hold on, Sansa Stargate.
What?
Someone in the chat is saying I still don't know which reporter got banned from KFS, and then this was a comment in the YouTube comments. Fred Katz is the one that got banned from KFS for misinformation. And you want to know how strong that ban is? Tune in during play-in week for Fred Katz on the Knicks Film School Podcast. We'll see you later.